in the backyard and shoot outhouses with my crossbow. Wearing a pleated yellowish-white shirt, blonde hair, blue pants, cowboy boots, and a cowboy hat. I don't watch a lot of television, but when I do, I watch my favorite television show, The Dukes of Hazzard. You know, The Dukes of Hazzard, don't you know The Dukes of Hazzard, don't you? It's about those two good old boys going place to place in their orange car that everyone loves, known as the General Lee, trying to avoid being put in jail for the 1,000,000th time by Roscoe and Enos, not penis, Enos, and also that fat white-suited boss who eats everything and anything, Jefferson Davis Hogg. The show ran from 1979 to 1985. It aired on CBS before switching to TNN, which is now known as Spike TV. And the reruns on CMT, for what I heard, y'all, they stopped airing the reruns due to the Confederate flag on the roof of the General Lee. My Uncle Nessie called me in for supper, so I got in the house, washed my hands, prayed with my uncle and two cousins, Juke and Paisy. What I heard on the television set that a lost episode of The Dukes of Hazzard was coming on tonight, which is kind of weird that they are showing an unaired episode of The Dukes of Hazzard on TV. I guess they wanted to show us one more episode to remember the good old days. I asked my uncle if I could watch it without hesitation. He said yes. It only came at 8 o'clock that night, so I took my time, ate my supper, and 8 o'clock had passed. I went into the living room. I turned on the TV. The intro started. They usually show clips of what the episode was going to be about, but I shrugged it off when there wasn't any. The intro was coming to an end when the General Lee was about to make their jump over Roscoe. Instead of yelling yee-haw like they always did, they were cheering for 9/11. And also the balladeer's name was supposed to be on the screen, known as Waylon Jennings, but instead it read Osama bin Laden as the balladeer. Now those of you who may know, 9/11 didn't happen during the running of the Dukes of Hazzard. 9/11 happened 12 years ago. This is 2018, and this had to happen back in the 80s during the final season. The screen faded to black as the next shot came to what appeared to be a gravesite. I got up and used my uncle's glasses to read the headstone. In memory of Denver Powell, the guy that played Uncle Jesse. Not Uncle Jesse from Full House, but on the Dukes of Hazzard. Maybe it was a tribute show for him or something. God rest his soul. It was a raining Sunday morning. But as the screen zoomed in on the headstone, Denver Powell slowly rose from his grave, overalls, hat and all, but his skin was peeling off. I started to cry, seeing Denver Powell, who looks exactly like my Uncle Nessie. Then Denver Powell spoke in a slow, humble voice. Please, whoever is watching this, please don't watch it. Don't let the good children see this. He started to cry just as he was wiping his eyes. He pulled out his shotgun from his grave that he hid and put it in his mouth. With one last tear, he pulled the trigger and fell back into his grave. I was freaked out by this also, and then the screen went to black as the next shot showed the Dukes driving to the boar's nest. It was also raining, and it was a Sunday morning. The episode read, The Revenge of the General Lee. The car somehow wasn't orange as it usually was. This General Lee was a deep blood red with devil horns on the roof where the Confederate flag was. Bo and Luke, not so and Puke, were smiling demonically as they had bloodshot eyes. and also on the front of the General Lee it had teeth. Realistic bloodshot eyes replaced the headlights. When they got to the boar's nest, the Duke boys ran in and started going insane. They started murdering people one by one. They took one of the people and stabbed them in the throat. They took their car repairman Cooter, not Pooter, took his screwdriver from his pants, pulled his pants down, bent him over, as Bo said, You fixed the General a bunch of times, but now we're going to return the favor. As he shoved Cooter's screwdriver so far up his anus, not Enos or penis, anus, and it came out of his mouth. I swear that was a long screwdriver, I said to myself. Next, they went over to Roscoe's fat sister Lulu, not Doo-Doo. They ripped her stomach open with a broken beer bottle and started eating her intestines. Just then, Boss Hogg came in. What the hell is going on here, he asked. Oh, look at this, Luke, it's a porky pig, Bo said as he ran for Boss. His eyeballs popped out and back into his head and ran out of the boar's nest. As he got into his white Cadillac, Hurry up, driver! I need to get out of here, he yelled. The driver didn't respond. Boss tipped the driver over, and his head fell off. Boss screamed bloody murder as he got out of his Cadillac. He realized the tires were slashed, so he ran for his life. Just then, the devil General Lee came and ran over Boss when there was nobody in there. I watched in horror as the General Lee repeatedly ran over Boss Hogg till he was roadkill. Then the Duke boys picked up the smushed Boss Hogg and put him in the kitchen on the grill to have some Boss Hogg flavored ham and bacon. Roscoe and Enos came into the boar's nest. They pulled out their guns and shot Bo and Luke. They checked on the rest of the people. Boss was frying on the grill, and Lulu was eating. Enos checked on the Dukes to make sure they were dead, but then they grabbed Enos by the mouth and ripped his head in half. Roscoe screamed and ran into the kitchen to find Boss Hogg cooked and naked with his heart shoved in his mouth. Roscoe screamed and ran out of the boar's nest. He tried to get in his cop car, but the doors were jammed shut by what appeared to be Flash's guts. He named his dog Flash for some reason. So Roscoe, with nothing else to do, pulled out his gun, pointed it to his head, and pulled the trigger. Back at the boar's nest, Daisy was nowhere to be seen as the Duke boys finished off raping Boss's nephew Cletus to death. Just then, Daisy in lingerie stood in the doorway. Boys, I think our work here is done, she said as they left the boar's nest, a bloody mess driving away in the cursed General Lee.